Hi everyone, welcome back. Do you remember this? My cute little needle case? I can't remember if I showed the completely finished thing. I'm sure I did. It even has needles in it now. Well, I thought today, because I'm still struggling a little, I thought it'd be really nice to make a sort of matching pincushion. We don't do matching because we just don't. I don't do matching. I thought it'd be really nice just to have a pincushion to go with it. And then hopefully when I'm feeling a little better I can go around and just finish this off and stitch it, but we don't need to look at that. So do you remember I used all sorts of bits of vintage stuff? So I used some vintage embroidery and lace and buttons and fabric. So I told you the story of my vintage cotton last time. This is my 1930s cotton. And I just thought that it would be really nice to make a pincushion. However, I need to decide on the size of it first. And I would also like the top to be a bit sort of like assemblage like this with bits and pieces on it. And I think it would be really nice if the bottom, so the underneath, was this fabric. So it's just going to be a square. So the finished size of that is actually 4 inches. So I would like it to be on the same kind of scale. So I think if this was 4 inches square, that would be really nice. So it's going to be 4 inches square. So the square to go on the back and the square to go on the front, their final measurements need to be 4.5 inches for seam allowance, which will be 1/4 of an inch. So this is the back, so that's decided already. And then I thought it might be rather nice to introduce some different fabrics. I don't usually do so like these, like they don't really go. I don't think they go at all, but something about them, I think they'll look really good together on the pincushion. I thought if I did sew the square like this and just did a strip down one side like that, off-centered, and then this bit, I thought if I did 2 just separate fabrics, this could be one of them in the separate fabrics, and then I think I'm going to use this one for the other one. Be sort of like that, but like a square. And then what we have to do is cover the seams with lace, and then the very final thing will be to plique on some sort of saved flower, possibly the same one that's on the needle case, this one here. So it might be rather nice to have that on there. And I want to think of some way of incorporating this lace edge, but I think it might be a bit big for a 4-inch square. So if that was the square, so you know that's 4 inches across. Yeah, I think that's possibly, because that would be right on the thing sticking out. Well, you live and learn. We won't be doing that then. I will save it for something else, that lace. I think it's going to be too much on there. I might use something like this down the long strip. So I'm just going to go and cut out all these bits to make them into the top of the pincushion. So we're going to use my crazy patchwork method in this. So I've got a piece of interfacing here, which I just need to draw a 4.5 inch square on. So we make sure that the edges of the fabrics aren't in the wrong places and stuff like that. You can use any marking implement that will go on the iron-on interfacing. I'm using my trusty marking implement, which is a biro. And don't worry, it won't show. Remember, this is on the inside where all the padding is anyway, so no one's going to see it. So next we need to trim this to size, and then we're going to lay out the fabric. So I could have put these 2 pieces together, right sides together, done a seam down here, opened them out, stitched them on here. This would have been 1 piece of fabric stitched down there, and only we'd have had the top. However, I forgot that I wanted to use some different size pieces, so I'm doing it this way instead. So I'll just put this on here how I want it. So I've got this really cute little sewing machine here. I thought that was super cute. And then we'll put this label across here. So is there any overlap at all? There's a tiny bit of overlap. And then I need to iron these on. So this is the needle case again here. So the lace I used to do the tie is this one. So it would be nice to have a little pull back to the lace. So I think this piece should go like across here somewhere. Oh no, no, I don't think that piece should go across there because it covers up the design too much. No, it's gonna have to. I think it's okay. As that, I'll go and cut another one, and I don't want to waste any. Another one of these. I'm using lace. It's going with the needle case. It's going to have pins stuck in it. It's fine. I do not need to panic about it now. So this isn't the same as this. I wanted something with a really pretty edge on it. So I want to put this down like that probably. But what I might do is put it on like that. And then very carefully zigzag along this edge and zigzag along this edge. Yep, that's how I'm going to do it. This is the finished piece for the top, and if you want to see how I made it, if you go and watch the video that I put up last week. So whatever you decide your top piece is going to be, this is what my top piece is going to be, and it's all finished, and you can see it's not the same by any means, but it's, I guess it's my style really, isn't it? So, but it's got the right sort of colours and the same sort of method of making. So I'm pretty excited to put it all together. So this is a simple bit. All we need to do is put these right size together and hope that they're the same size. Well, will you look at that? Well, there we go. Now we're going to pin this all the way around. Pin it in the direction you're going to sew from. When we take it to the machine, remember to use a straight stitch and to leave a gap to turn it through. So I will probably leave a gap about maybe that big, so it's nearly an inch either side, so whatever that is. I would rather have a bigger gap than a small gap because we've got to turn it through. This piece is quite solid to turn through in the first place, and I want it to finish up as square as possible. Actually, it's not going to be that side that I leave open because I think that's the top and I don't want to leave the top open. I'll probably leave this side open here where the just plain fabric and the lace is. But you could use all sorts of bits and pieces for this, and it's also something you could make with you know, friends, or you know, even like a baby shower or something. I think it would be kind of cute to make something because you can incorporate all sorts of things like bits of fabric from clothes when you were younger, or shared memories or something. You can even use like motifs off of t-shirts. If you do, make sure you stabilize them with Bonder web first. But you know, there's so many different things you could do with this. And then there's just something nice and keepsakey about it. I mean, I've got a gazillion pin cushions. Well, I've got this disreputable one, which is very handy when I'm sitting at the machine and I can just launch pins in the general direction because it's magnetic. But it's also positively lethal. It really is. The number of times I end up pricking myself on it. So I thought, you know, as part of the quest to have my workroom aesthetically pleasing, having a nice pin cushion would be lovely. And also, if you want to make a gift for somebody that you know sews, you know, it might be an older person, it might be a younger person, it might be somebody you know wants to learn to sew and would just like to have a little thing. It's a really, I just think it's such a kind gift to make someone, you know, and then with a fresh packet of glass head pins as well, and tie it up in all in a little bow, and I think it's just gorgeous. So all we need to do is take this to the machine and stitch round. I was going to do a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, hem allowance thing-majig-me, but if I just give this a quick measure, I've stitched this all the way around, and I know I'm going to lose a lot of it, but if I do a 1/4 of an inch, so I think I'm going to do slightly less than a 1/4 of an inch, so in which case I will stitch round twice, maybe a scant 1/4 of an inch. It's still going to look pretty. Right, I shall go and sew this. So I've finished stuffing mine with lavender. I turned it through and gave it a quick press first, and I have absolutely, as much as I can, jammed this full of lavender, ready to sew it shut. And I've tried to iron these bits, but I don't know, it'll be okay. So this is the bit where it's going to be stitched shut. So now it's stuffed, I can just stick pins in myself, ow, and then we'll stitch this shut, and then it's done. Sorry if I sound croaky, it's the lavender, it's quite dusty. That's nice and tight now. So when that's pushed back in, it'll still be quite a nice firm thing. You could, to make absolutely sure, do offcuts of wadding or something inside if you wanted to. I actually like using lavender as a pincushion, especially as it's like purely decorative, really, isn't it? So it's going to smell nice. So I'm going to go and stitch this. I'm just going to overstitch it just along here. I don't really care. That's what I'm going to do. But anyway, that's a little pincushion. Okay, so let's have a look. What have we got? There's the pin cushion. So let's put a pin in it. Perfect. So every time I put pins in it, it's going to smell of lavender, which is really lovely. And now I've got something that goes with my needle case. So this is what they look like together. I'll just tie this up. There we go. There's the needle case. And there's the pin cushion. And you can see they're the same sort of scale as each other, so they don't look out of place together, even though I've used different fabrics to do the little crazy patchwork part. Obviously the embroidery came off of the same thing, so, and then the backing fabric is the same. It was a super cute, really simple project to make. Obviously you can do whatever you like for your front panel. You could do just a focus in on a really pretty piece of fabric that you like, or even a piece of embroidery that's not going to go and be anything else. You could put that on here. But if you want to see how this was made, I'll put a link in the description. So there's my cute little pincushion. Why don't you have a go at making it, or making one for somebody that you know likes sewing and things like that? So I'm just going to do a little zoom in on here so we can just get a bit more of an idea of the size and how cute it looks. It looks really sweet, doesn't it? I'm really glad I put this bit of lace around. These are for me. I may well make stuff and put it up on my website at some point, but until then you'll have to make your own. Thanks as always for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!